Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Tinashe, and you know I got soul.
All right, Tinashe. So, you started your career, early on in acting. Eventually, you signed with Columbia as part of the group, The Stunners. How'd you get your break with the group, to you guys getting eventually signed?
The Stunners were put together. We actually auditioned. I auditioned when I was 14, and I made it into the group. It was never really, my dream to be part of a girl group, and I kind of just embraced the opportunity at the time until I felt in the proper position to go off as a solo artist, and luckily it was a great learning experience for me, and I built a lot of great relationships, and now I'm here now.
Right. So, talk about some of your musical influences growing up.
Growing up, I was really heavily influenced by Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, Sade. My parents played a lot of those artists in the house, and Christina Aguilera was always one of my favorites. So those are probably my biggest influences.
Cool. So now after the group split up in 2011, was it tough for you to kind of rebound and go into that solo thing, or was it kind of just like a natural thing for you?
I think it was exciting to be able to go off and branch off on my own, just because I was given the opportunity to have my own voice. And in the group, you're not necessarily always singing from your personal perspective.
Right.
So I was excited to have the chance to be able to speak from my perspective and write songs and write music from my perspective. So actually, I thought it was a very exciting process.
And of course, after you signed to RCA a few months back, the Reverie mixtape was out.
Mm-hmm.
How was that received by fans?
They loved the mixtape. I wanted to put out the second mixtape just to give them something to appease themselves until the album came out. Obviously, I knew that the album would be a little bit harder and take a little bit more time because I would be collaborating with more people, and just with extra people and extra schedules, it just goes a little bit slower than the process of making it on your own in your room.
Right.
So the mixtape, I think, is a special mixtape in that it's probably the last body of work that they're going to get for free for a while.
Yeah.
So they were definitely appreciative of it, and I think that my fans loved the progression even from the first mixtape to the second.
Right.
And they look forward to seeing where it will go with the album.
Cool. And of course, you had the great single Ecstasy on there. Just released a video a few months back.
Mm-hmm.
Just talk about that song and how it all came together.
Ecstasy, the beat was produced by K Beats. He was just a producer that I found on Twitter, and he's dope, and he did a couple of tracks on my first mixtape, and then he did Ecstasy on the second one, so I was happy that I was able to make one of them into a single and make a video for it, and I think the fans really liked that video. It was a fun video. I got to shoot it underwater and be a little mermaid, and so that was fun for me.
Yeah, cool. So like you said, no more free music for the fans. You work on your first upcoming
there
album.
will definitely be a couple of songs here and there, some drops. As far as a whole mixtape or an album, I'm still undecided as to whether I'll be releasing one around the album, but I'm focused on putting out an album right now.
Have you been working on it so far, and how's the progression been with that?
Yeah, I've been working on the album for a few months now, and it's a process, obviously a learning process, going from, like I said, being alone in your room working on music to being in studios working with producers, and that whole thing. It's a learning process of how to adapt and still stay true to yourself.
Right.
So it's fun, it's exciting, it's hard, but it's fun.
Cool. And who have you had a chance to work with so far in the project?
So far, I've worked with T-, Boy Wonder, Clams Casino, Fisticuffs. They're really dope. They're nominated for a couple of Grammys. They did a lot of stuff with Miguel. These guys, Best Kept Secret, Ritz Reynolds. So I'm working with a lot of really cool people. I'm excited about it.
Cool.
Yeah.
A few months ago, we put out an article, picking you as one of the future superstars of R&B.
Yeah,
we really
thanks.
love your sound. We feel like
Thank you.
progressing the genre, what you're coming with. So just kind of talk about your sound. I feel like it has some of that moodiness that's apparent in R&B these days. Just talk about it overall.
I think my sound is kind of like an urban rhythmic pop, and it's got influences from an indie alternative kind of world and a hip-hop world, and I think that's what makes it interesting. I'm more attracted to darker vibes and darker chord progressions and moods, and I think it makes it interesting to have the juxtaposition between the darker music and my brighter personality. So my just light higher maybe voice, softer voice. So I like to play around with just sonics, and I think that's the fun part about R&B right now, is that it's not really defined in a category anymore, and it's kind of becoming, it's kind of a new genre.
Definitely is, definitely. So just to wrap up, you did acting early on in your career.
Mm-hmm.
How much is that still a part of your career, and what's in the future for you with that?
I took a hiatus for a couple of years from acting. I wanted to break as a music artist just so that people would really take my art and my craft seriously. But I 100% plan on getting back into acting in the future, and it's a big passion of mine, and I grew up acting and being in movies and stuff, so I look forward to getting back into it.
Great.
I'm ready to get back into it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that's all we have for you. Anything you'd like to add?
No, make sure that you check out my website, tinashenow.com. You can find the links to all of my other social networks there, my music videos, and download my mixtapes there. And look out for my album, which should be coming out this year.